the runtime on this, after using this a little bit.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This video I wish would have been available a couple days ago, but I couldn't find anyone comparing these two vacuums. I just got this in the mail. This is the Ego vacuum. I already had this battery. I already had a charger, so this cost me only $300. I'm about to go spend over 3 times as much on the Festool vacuum, the CTC, and I'm going to be returning this, and I'll tell you why a little later, but for now, let's go to the store and pick up the Festool. There it is, Festool CTC MIDI Ego. And before I start this comparison video, this is going to sound like a rant for Festool, but I just want to give Ego some props for hitting the price point they hit. Overall, this is an excellent first attempt at a vacuum. There's onboard storage. You can put, I've got the floor attachments there to compare those in a second. So tube, and then the floor attachment. That's a good design. This is a really bad design. I'll get into that later. Quality, not bad, but I'm just gonna be going over a lot of details, and there's just too many deal breakers on this for me. I've got the tracks on the ground. I'll go over hose length, kind of how the hose is to use, the hose on that. There's 2 different hacks I'm gonna show you for the Ego that I think will make it better for sure, and it will cost a lot less than the Festool. There are some features on the Festool that are gonna be a pretty good amount better, regardless of if you do some modifications at some extra cost, but let's go. All right, Ego, here's the footprint. If you were to throw this in the back seat of a truck, it would pretty easily take up two seats and then be a little bit in somebody's way on that 3rd seat. So if somebody were to sit in the back seat, they'd be kind of feeling this brushing up against their arm. So the lack of onboard storage versus the Festool, you can see that just doesn't take up the whole camera like the Ego does. And basically this is short enough this way that you could get this in a truck seat, you know, depth wise. So this is probably about 1 seat length or width right there. So this doesn't take up hardly any room in the back seat of a truck or in the bed of a truck. In the bed of a truck, I would say is roughly double the footprint for the Ego. And you could probably get some stuff under the hose over there and there. So it's not like straight double, but it's much larger of a footprint just because of the lack of hose storage. Quality of hose, this is the biggest thing for me by far. This thing absolutely sucks. I cannot wait to not be holding this versus the Festool is light, it's flexible. This remote, if I just kind of drop this, the remote can fall off. So basically, if the remote happens to be face down and you kind of just throw it down, like that's how I wouldn't set it, you know, vacuum end down, I would drop it. So this feels really solid on there, but I've had that fall off probably that's the 4th time this has fallen off on me. And it's really solid unless you drop it and it hits. I would be taking this remote, sticking it in my pocket or across the shop on a workbench or something, and I would be replacing this hose. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it wants to be over here. So if you're trying to do work, there's a lot of sideways torque on this thing, and it's just not comfortable. And the center of gravity on it is like way back here. And this is a 2-inch hose, so this is heavy, not flexible, and it wants to be backwards. This review, I'm gonna do a lot with dust extraction because 3 out of 4 times I use a vacuum. I used to think all I needed a vacuum for was to vacuum up the shop, vacuum up the car. But once you have used a dust extractor, it's rare for anyone to go back to not using a dust extractor. So anybody that has been introduced to Festool or, you know, the concept of dust extraction with a quality vacuum, and it's hard to find a quality vacuum, anyone that's been introduced to that, they don't really go back. So that's just a testament to the value there, because Festool is not cheap, but people don't go back. Just so you don't think I'm a Festool fanboy, most of my tools are Milwaukee. I've got the option of the Makita vacuum if I wanted. It was the worst vacuum ever. So don't go with the 40-volt Makita, whatever you do. This is way better than that. But I actually called Ego a year before this came out. And I said, your guys' battery is so superior to pretty much anything else that's on the market, and you guys make good enough quality tools. I think you guys could do really well with a shop vac. Now, I doubt I'm the phone call that inspired this shop vac, but yeah, about a year before it came out, I called them. So I am not opposed to Ego. I think this is a huge advantage. I mean, I would love it if I could get this battery on the Festool, I really would. This is not the battery that comes with the vacuum. I got it without the battery because I already had this. This is a 12 amp hour battery. If you got the kit, it would come with a 5 amp hour battery, but you still got more power than the Festool, about 150% as much power, because this is 56 volts and that's 36. So that's really 40 volts kind of at the max peak, and this is really 60 volts at the max peak, is how like DeWalt would say 20 volt max. It's really 18 volt average, and then you've really got increments of 18 volts typically. So anyway, this is about 150% as much power as the 36 volt system. Here's the hose length. I'm gonna go ahead and turn these on. That hose length is an issue, big issue for me. All right, so there's the Festool hose. Sticks out past the 10-foot track. And let me explain these tracks real quick. All right, track saw cuts a perfectly straight line. No skill required. You mark 2 marks. You don't have to mark the whole line like you do with a circular saw. So it's a glorified circular saw. This is appropriate for like 2x12, like bigger lumber for crosscuts. This 4.5 foot piece is appropriate for like 30, 36 inch like cabinet size paneling. And when you're building cabinets after you've already done your rip cut. This is roughly a 6.5 foot track, and this is appropriate for full crosscuts on 4x8 sheet. And then this 10-footer, this is appropriate for full rip cuts on 8-foot sheet. You need your full saw blade to be clear at the beginning, and you need at least the bottom of your saw blade to be clear at the end of your cut. So really you need probably at least a 9-foot track minimum. So this is the most appropriate track I have found. This hose isn't long enough. If you were to, I wouldn't even want to vacuum a car with this, but mostly because it's fighting, not necessarily because of the length, but the length is just too short in my opinion. For the Festool, so that's the 6.5 foot track. This is the 10-foot track. So because of how not flexible this is, it would be hard to do the 6.5 foot track like a cross cut, much less a rip cut. But a rip cut, you're really ending your cut like right here, and you've got lots of hose left to do that cut. I'm gonna turn these on. So to do the Bluetooth, it might, here, actually I wanna try this real quick. I'm gonna try not hitting that Bluetooth button at all. Okay, you do have to hit the Bluetooth button. So hit the button. There we go. That's synced up to the vacuum. Let me give you a rundown on this remote. So start. Turbo. You can toggle on and off from the turbo. Turn it off. It's got a little light on the end. This remote is USB-C rechargeable. So at the bottom here, you can flip open this little waterproofer thing. And the magnet's not quite strong enough to survive dropping this face down very often if you're dropping it from any height. Here's the Festool remote. This is not USB-C rechargeable, so that is kind of both a good thing and a bad thing, but this is 2032 coin cells. One advantage to the coin cells is if you leave that remote with any rechargeable battery, if you basically leave it dead for too long, the battery is toast. It's not gonna charge. So you'd have to replace the remote, where this, if it's totally dead, you leave it in a storage unit for 6 months while you're moving or something, I don't know, it would just not be a problem. You would just have a coin cell to replace. But at the same time, you have to buy a coin cell. But I have a feeling the batteries on this last a long time. And I haven't figured out this button. This is something related to like moving from one Bluetooth battery to another or something like that. All right, I figured out this button on the remote. I had to patch this in. This is too cool. So say you forget to sync your saw to the vacuum, or you switch batteries and it's unsynced now. You're up on a ladder. Oh, my vacuum's not turning on. Now it's synced. And if you're paying attention, there was a little blue light on here that indicates that that's the battery that's hooked up to Bluetooth. So this one, let's pretend this is a sander. It's not synced. Now it is ready to sand. So, pretty slick. Essentially, you just don't need this button because it's right there on the remote. This remote stays on really well. And of course, you have manual mode whenever you want it, or Bluetooth. And it turns itself off. We've got a lack of compatibility with the Ego. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So onboard storage, here is their adapter for dust extraction. This one, very impressive. I've had probably 7 Festool sanders. I've had some other brands. This ETS EC, this low profile is amazing. So one disadvantage to a cordless dust extractor, if you do tons and tons of sanding, that one's got a plug-in that will turn the sander on automatically. You plug the sander into the vacuum turns on when the button is pressed, and it turns the sander on. So the vacuum communicates with the sander and powers the sander, where you don't get that with the Bluetooth model. You would have to use your remote and basically plug this into an extension cord. Not a huge deal, because that, you know, this extension cord, it's going to be not too bad to use, I don't think. So here's the dust extraction adapter for the Ego that it comes with. It's compatible with Milwaukee, which Milwaukee I would say makes the second best track saw. The Makita track saw is really rough, and compared to the Festool, I'm gonna definitely say the Festool is better just because of the way the battery is done. So both Makita and Milwaukee, the plunge angle, this is touching almost right away. So this wants to go down rather than forward when you plunge it. It's kind of hard to explain, but this is just a lot more comfortable to use. And if you buy a Festool cordless track saw, this KEB is what you want. So if you're trying to buy it used and you see an REB, don't buy that. The KEB has a thin curve, it cuts much smoother, and the batteries, I would say the batteries last twice as long. There's a real fine blade, that's what comes with the saw. And yep, there's for lumber, this is a 24 tooth blade. I'll have links to these if you do feel like purchasing. This one I actually had a hard time sourcing, but this is a 6-inch blade for cutting granite and stone, like marble and stuff. And basically you've got variable speed on this track saw. And with dust extraction, instead of, so that's going real slow. But yeah, you can cut stone with a track saw. So this is for cement, like hardy siding and like hardy backer for like showers and stuff. All right, I could do without this, but we've got a lack of compatibility. Where is that? There we go. So yeah, you could do the Milwaukee track saw, not a huge deal. I would be okay with a Milwaukee track saw, but I would not be okay with any other brand for this sander. Mirka makes one that's okay, but I don't know what the compatibility with this is. But Mirka's more expensive, and from what I've seen, lower quality, like less user-friendly. There's some things about it that people tend to prefer the Festool. This is expensive, but this is my second one of these. I wore this one out, and I just went and bought another one, no questions asked. I would pay double for this. This is, I can't say what the price is, but you can look it up. ETS EC 150, I can put a link to this, but I would pay double for that. And this is great value. And I like that the batteries turn the vacuum on. All right. So basically we've got a lack of compatibility in the Ego. Now you can overcome that a little bit by replacing this hose. Just show you how well the Festool locks up with this vacuum. Here is the sander. Now you can do, like if you were to do the Ego, you'd have to get this in a 2-inch. So it wouldn't be nearly as flexible, it wouldn't be nearly as light, and it would be expensive. So you'd be losing a lot of the economy that you were trying to gain with the Ego, you know, the upfront cost. So you could see there's these, this is keyed on the or not on the inside on this one. I guess this one only works on the, with this hose, I think. I think you'd have to have an adapter to run this vacuum with the 2-inch hose with the Ego. But anyway, you can see it's keyed in, so you're pushing it in here, and this is gonna be rock solid. So you push it, although I could barely get it in, and then on top of that, it twists. And this, no way, you are not getting that undone on accident. So twist, and even to get it off on purpose is some work. So there's that. Rock solid. Now this is going to be a little different. This is an older attachment that I have here, and I'll show you these side by side with the Ego, but first I want to just show you that how solid this is. So there it is, not really pushed in, and you can see there's another collar here. Rubber's a little bigger, rubber's a little bigger right here. So I twist, oops, sorry, I gotta hold this. So I twist, and that's pretty solid, but that's not in yet. So twist, and I'm gonna go one more layer, and that is very solid. So yeah, there's that. The Ego does have the adjustable suction. I don't really know the point of that myself. It probably would serve some purpose in like car detailing, I would imagine. But yeah, that's not keyed, but that is solid as well. As you can see how much work it took to get it out of there. But that is one with that hose when you get that in there. This right here is a bad design. This is just gonna break. It is. So if you see how this is done, it's just kind of keyed in there. This is gonna torque this. If that gets hit, that's just not gonna survive for very long. Yeah. And what else do you get? Here is, so this is like a natural bristle brush. This is kind of like a cheap chip brush almost type of material. And you have to buy the Festool, so points to Ego for including it. But here's what I would use in like a car for vacuuming upholstery. That's Festool's version. And then this thing is money. This thing is so good. I'm sure you could get this adapted to other brands and stuff, or I would imagine you can, but you can swivel it and it just gets real comfortable. So I use this, I used to do fine finishing, but this I would use to vacuum off wood or vacuum off between coats. And it's just, I would go over it a few times to really get all the dust off for final, especially for final coat. But yeah, this is just really nice. The fact that it swivels, you can basically adapt the angle to be comfortable for you. You can get it straight and you can even get it at straight 90 degrees. So you can really basically get any angle you want with this attachment, and then just a typical nozzle. This is an accessory that doesn't come with the Festool. So this was, I can't say the price, but it's cheap. And it's just 4 screws from up underneath. And in my links or whatever, I'll try to include a link to that if I can. I think I'll be able to. When I first got this, I was like, ooh, man, that's nice. That's not gonna do a cut on this 10-foot track. It's just not, and it's not gonna be fun to use on any other tracks, and it's not even compatible with the Festool. So you'd need a Milwaukee track saw, or you could do the Festool hose with an adapter. Actually, you wouldn't need an adapter. It'll work on the 2-inch hose, I think. Yeah, it's got outside compatibility here. Or, I don't know what the exact size of that hose is, but about 2 inches. But yeah, this hose being longer, and it's not wanting to fight you. It feels really light, and it flexes, and it's not wanting to be backwards. A way to support my channel is going to be to use my links. I'm gonna put links to all this stuff, and I'll try to make it so it sends you right to Amazon, like right to your Amazon app, if I can. That's what I'm gonna try to do. So my links, I'm gonna try to design them to save you time, and it'll support my channel. In terms of actually sucking things up, this Festool's got pretty nice suction. Here is the cord storage. I like to go this way, like this is the way I'm currently doing it. So I'll push the hose in this way and then go up, over, and around, and then you've got it in there. You can put a sustainer, so any Festool, any tool, you can basically click the box for it in there and stack them and bring it all into the job site, roll it all into the job site all at once if you're in construction. I'm not, I just have a house, and nice tools, they pay for themselves quick when you're, you do anything yourself, and yeah, your tools pay for themselves. I want to go over kind of the bag and like a little hack for turning a standard bag into a long life bag. So here's the bag that comes with the Festool. Now on any smaller vacuum, I prefer a long life bag. It's just because you have to empty, the smaller a vacuum is, the more often you have to empty it. But there is a hack. You can basically cut the corner off of any of these bags. And then those paper clips that are black, the big black paper clips, you could cut a corner off, fold it, clip, 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 and you're gonna lose, yay much capacity on the bag, who cares? But that way, it seals, keeps the dust sealed in the bag. It's not gonna get past 2 folds and clips. But then when you have to empty the bag, you can reuse the bag several times, like probably 20 times or more. But yeah, clip, clip, clip. But these things, if you just throw them away every time like they kind of want you to, these are like $5-6 a bag, and even the off-brand ones are not cheap. So there is that, but what's better than that is the long life bag, and it's not available for the Ego. And just a quick mention, I have tested this. You can put 2 batteries and then these 3 attachments in there. These are really the only attachments I use anyway. So crevice tool, this thing I love, and this guy I don't use often, but for vacuuming out a car, I really like this for upholstery. You can get extra batteries in that if you want to. Long life bag, so let me show you that. With the Festool, you just flick out. I think I like Ego's maybe, except for when you hit it, it moves the vacuum. I don't like that. So maybe I like the Festool better. I don't know. Pretty even there. Good design. But I want to show you this long life bag. Really a good design here. So you just push this, it comes right out. And just show you how this works. So just pull. All right. And the design on this, this is like thicker rubber. I think this is neoprene, but this is about double the thickness what's on a typical bag. You flip this open. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. Yeah, so you just kind of pry up like that. And you flip the bag over. It has a handle like this on both sides. So you can grab it with both hands and just shake it out and see it. The stuff's all right in the middle here. So that will empty really fast when you're done. You probably have two hands, it'd be easier, but now it's ready to go back in. So fold it. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand is why I'm trying to fold it here. All right. And to get it back in, you just go like that and down. And it might cost you some money up front, but it's nice to, you know, with the other bags, you're like, oh, I want it to be all the way full so I get my money's worth out of the bag. And every time you throw it away, you feel like you're throwing away a $5 bill. These, you buy it once. Yeah, you have to probably use it 30 times before it pays for itself. But this, you could probably empty this hundreds of times. So, you know, it costs money, but it would pay for itself probably 5 times. So I'm all about those long life bags, and I expect Ego to come out with one for their vacuum or a competitor, you know, just some aftermarket thing. I expect there to be an aftermarket bag for that vacuum, but currently it's not available. This was actually a big reason why I was like leaning towards the Festool up front, but I was like $300, you know, ballpark for me, because I already have the battery. And you know what this costs. I was like, there's a reason. And the Ego, I was like, it should have a little more power at least. So that's why I was leaning towards that. Let's look at the Ego design here. So you can hit that and it's just a little faster than the Festool, but then when you're, yeah, it just moves the vacuum a little. I think I like the Ego design there better. It's a pretty good design. And here is their, I actually haven't stuck this bag in here. So I'm trying not to use this because I plan to return it. That's why I have it on this fabric. I'm doing everything on fabric to try to keep it nice and clean, but you can see this is bigger. This is a 9-gallon. And I honestly don't know the specs on this, but you could look it up, CTC MIDI. The Ego is a bigger vacuum, but I don't actually want that. This is their most popular size. They make 3 or 4 that are bigger than this. And I think they might make 2 smaller or 3 bigger, I don't know, but this is their most popular size, so it's a good size. This sander, I think I've gone over it, but I prefer a hard pad for flat surfaces. So this is an accessory you have to buy. It comes with a medium pad, which will not keep your surfaces as flat. And then I like the Mirka, especially the Ace HD is just money. So much better than the Festool abrasives. So you need an interface pad whenever you do a net style abrasive. So there's no holes in this. The whole thing is holes. So this sucks up dust well, but mostly it just finishes nicer and it doesn't tend to clog or get anything stuck on it as much as like the hole style abrasive. So these Mirka, M-I-R-K-A, better abrasives. And then this interface pad, and then you can buy all this stuff piece by piece. So the interface pad. I do find the interface pads do have to be Festool brand for the holes to match up well. And the Festools are nice quality. There are aftermarket like Chinese options and they do actually fit as long as they say they're compatible with Festool, but you can't buy like a Mirka brand backing pad. But the Mirka abrasives are great, much better quality than the Festool. Festool, they claim that theirs is better than Mirka, but it's not. I'm not even gonna use my Festool sanding pads. Even the newer net style, the most expensive option really for a sanding pad or a sanding disc, I'm still not using it. So I like the Mirka for those. Here's what the charger looks like when you buy the Festool kit. So 2 batteries, they just slide in. It's really nice and smooth, and they slide out. It's like they don't even lock. It's just like gravity holds them in, I think. So pretty nice. They charge at the same time. But yeah, it's about 20 minutes to get a charge on, at least as long as you have the Airstream, the Bluetooth, and any newer tool should come with the Bluetooth battery and the Airstream. And you can only sync one battery at a time to the vacuum. So if you had lots of Festool tools, if you had a Festool jigsaw, if you had a Festool cordless router or whatever, you could put this, I don't even know what tools they make, but like a joiner, or not a joiner, but a biscuit joiner. Domino is Festool's version of that. But if you're into woodworking, you probably would want a lot of different Festool tools. And then this battery here would go, wherever that battery goes, the vacuum's gonna be synced to it. So you just hit that button and it's done. Hose length is huge for me. The hose quality, especially the flexibility of that hose. Again, I would get the bigger Festool hose and say, okay, this vacuum doesn't have a remote. So you just turn it on manually, do your work, turn it off manually, or you put the remote in your pocket, or you put the remote on like a workbench or something. So I'm gonna go back over just some kind of highlights. The battery capacity options are definitely gonna go to Ego. I've got a 12 amp hour battery on that, and I already had that battery, and a lot of people are gonna have Ego in their garage and already have a battery. So the value of Ego is pretty nice. It's definitely worth considering, despite that this is gonna have a lot more of those luxury options. I still need to go over the floor attachment quality there. Yep, hose length. With a track saw, you really, and even vacuuming a car, I'm not gonna love using that. I hate holding that thing. That hose is terrible. I can't even stress how bad it is after you've had that in your hand. But if you're used to junk or garbage, this is gonna be the best vacuum you've ever used. And you're probably not even gonna think about the hose. So if you already have Ego batteries and you really don't see yourself needing any dust extraction, like sanding. So sanding is twice as fast, the abrasives last twice as long. So there's value that you're getting your money back and you're saving time to use a dust extractor, and there's not dust in the air. So some old furniture is like lead-based paint. So you probably wouldn't want to sand that even with the dust extractor. You probably want to do that outside. But anyway, this isn't compatible with a Festool vacuum, or sorry, with the Festool sander, the EC. That's, I think, the best sander you can get. And again, I've had a lot of sanders, but this is compatible. So you'd want, yeah, the Festool hose, Festool adapter, and then say goodbye to probably a lot of your attachments. I don't know if they're Festool compatible, even with the Festool hose or not, but I would just get rid of all the attachments. I'd buy the Festool hose if I was to make this work. And at that point, if I bought the battery kit and the hose, I'm sure is not cheap, you're basically paying this price anyway, or not that far off. So the luxury of the Festool with the Bluetooth compatible batteries and everything, big plus. All right, so yep, I like the fact that I can turn my saw on. I've got the remote of there, so that's just basically turning, everything communicates with the vacuum, so I don't need to walk over to the vacuum to turn it on or turn it off. Everything happens automatically with the Festool. The attachments, the Festools are better quality, and Ego comes with the attachments. So this is pretty well done for something that comes with a vacuum. I like that these tubes taper into each other. Pretty good fit. This is cheap compared to the Festool. Now, most Festool floor attachments are plastic, but look, this swivels, and this really does a good job vacuuming a floor. And I like the metal. It just sits on the ground well. It feels nice in the hand, and it feels solid. Like I push it, it moves. If I'm kind of getting around things, I can kind of swivel under them or swivel beside them. This has the swivel option where this is just totally lame, doesn't do anything. But this is free, so points there. And if you wiggle this some, if you don't get it together well, it doesn't feel solid, so you'd want to push together pretty well. Like I can feel it bending, like, yeah, popsicle sticks taped together is kind of what it feels like there. But you could get that pretty solid. I don't like this. That's gonna break. Really don't like that design. It looks like an afterthought. And if you're hooking up the blower, you have, sorry about the lighting, but you'd have to take these off to hook up the blower. What's kind of nice about either vacuum, when you're hooking up to the blower, this should be passing through the filter first. So you've got whatever dust is in the hose, but you're mostly blowing pure air on something. So That's just kind of nice. But yeah, I wouldn't trust it to be totally dust free because you're also vacuuming with this hose and there's probably a lot of dust in the hose. So here's the Festool blower option. So you put it there. And again, the hose is gonna have some dust in it. So don't trust that too much. Here's the Festool filter. This, it feels like plastic. It feels washable to me, but I wouldn't hold me to that. It could be paper. I would assume they want you to take this out when you're using it for wet. And I think, I'm not sure about this. I wouldn't like this, but I think you might have to have a filter in there when you're for wet mode, but I'm not sure. So I need to look into that to see if you need a wet filter. But yeah, it's so nice. It is very nice how easy that filter is to get out, because I would want to take the bag out, take the filter, and usually in my experience, when something's wet and you need to vacuum it up, you want to do it, get on it quick, because yeah, I've had like the back of a toilet, the pipe just blew off and water going everywhere, and it's like, that's got to get cleaned up quick. I had something, it was a bad design, but underneath my kitchen sink just blew up, water's pouring across my kitchen floor, and I with that vacuum and that there, and the Festool and the Ego, they both come with a wet attachment, so looks very similar for how ooh, I can't do this with one hand on the, oh yeah, I can. So I can do this with one hand on the Ego. The Ego is pull, the Festool is push. So yeah, I can do it with one hand on either one. So you just push and it comes out, and then you can put the wet attachment. So basically the wet attachment just kind of squeegees up. I didn't get on very well. There we go. So the wet attachment squeegees up water really well, and it just almost bone dry when you're done. Okay, so here's the manual options for this one. Turbo. So you can run it real low. There's that. The remote you can keep right here. So if you have the Festool hose and you want this remote to just have in your pocket, you could store it right here. On my bag, I touched on that, but that's big points for the Festool, like really big points. I was like kind of waiting for Ego to release a long life bag, and I think they will, but thus far they have not, to my knowledge. And the hose storage, the fact that this takes up a lot less footprint, and you can also snap your tools, and the Festool has some cordless options for really high quality tools like a jigsaw. They've got sanders that are cordless. They're just this cordless sanders. They don't have one that is as good as that corded sander, but if you have smaller like detail sanders, they've got cordless sanders that will be compatible with this, and that's just going to be really nice. I'll probably get one now that I say that out loud. I'm like, man, that would be really nice to have a sander with Bluetooth and a cordless vacuum. You just walk over there, click it on, and it's on. And you click it off, you're done sanding, you click off the sander, the vacuum turns off. So that's hard to beat. And the dust extraction, it sands faster, your abrasives last longer, so you're paying for less abrasives and you're saving time. So that's gonna just pay for the vacuum pretty quick. I mean, unless you're making nothing per hour, but I don't know who doing anything related to construction isn't making a good hourly wage doing it. So, but here's the Festool filter cleaning. It kind of knocks. It's a knock system, where the Ego, I believe, is more of a reverse suction or something. This feels like it's like, sucking the other direction on the filter or something, but this is to basically declog the filter. I do want to look at the Ego filter. I have not yet, so let's take a look at that. Okay, this looks like that looks like the filter on that roughly. So I'm expected to pull on this. Yep, this looks exactly like a Festool, an older Festool filter. So I put it in. Yep, that is exactly the design. That's just a straight copy. Oh, this is pretty notable. So let me just kind of show you what it looks like to store this hose. And also, I forgot to say that the Ego is very fast to put away the hose. Like, I couldn't even put away the Festool hose while holding a camera. See that I just hit the hose, the remote came off, and yeah. So I'm not a fan of that. it feels like it would stay on, but there it is. Definitely did not do that on purpose, but yeah, that's not the first time that happened. So this remote falls off. And again, this hose is totally unacceptable, so I wouldn't have a remote anyway. I'm gonna turn this off. All right, what was I gonna show you? Okay, so the handle direction. Now, if you put your hand by your side, your hand is like this. This is like this. So I know if you're curling weights or something, you're in this direction, but this is not nearly as comfortable. All right. This is not nearly as comfortable. And also this is huge in comparison to the Festool as this sideways, because that's the way your hand wants to be. If you're doing, you know, if you're just standing up with a weight or something, you would want the weight to be this direction to just be more comfortable. Walking through a door with this, I just think that's a better handle orientation. And also you can, any Festool tool is going to come with these. This is actually just what the battery came in. I don't even keep these because I don't work construction. But it sets on there. You go like that. You just turn this. Now these are locked together. So you just lift up on this. Now you've got the Festool vacuum. You can stack your sander, your track saw. You can put sanding discs, can be in one of these, whatever. You can have it, you can have several tools all kind of together, and you could just wheel in one or two of these. There's even dollies that you can, I don't know if they make them for the vacuum, I'm not sure, but there's dollies you can make for this system. So if you have a sander or something, the tool would be keyed in there and just you can have a separate one of these for all your sanding discs. And then yeah, your track saw comes in a big one of these if you want. But I generally just sell these and consider it a discount on the tool. There are people that'll buy these on used because people do like these for their other tools. Like they'll buy these and put like Milwaukee nailers in there or whatever other tools they might have that aren't Festool. They'll stick whatever it is. So I have had pretty good success just selling these and considering it a discount. But yeah, this came with the battery charger and the batteries. That's how those key in, and then to key them off or whatever, you just do that and they lift right off. So that's an easy way to get on and off the job site if you are in construction. Ego doesn't have anything like that. All the batteries turning on the Bluetooth is great. But yep, for me, it mostly comes down to that hose. I love the power, the runtime of that Ego battery and the fact that I already have it. So that is, if I just compare these apples to apples, if I had to buy the battery, you're not talking as much of a savings. And then I'm not okay with that hose. I'd have to buy that. So then that is getting really close to the cost of the Festool, which is way more capable, way more luxury. It has the long life bag as an option. The hose sticks in there, so it takes up less space. This takes probably 5 times less time to put away. This takes up half the space. So take it for what it's worth. This has advantages in terms of this is fast to get on and off. So if you're using this 20 times a day, you probably wouldn't want to put away this hose in this, but that's not very compact at all, where this gets real compact. And if you're doing lots of sanding, consider a Festool corded option. You would have to run this on an extension cord to run this with that vacuum, so you'd just be hitting the remote, turning on your sander, but you'd have a separate cord for the sander rather than the vacuum turning it on. This Bluetooth is really well done. It's just like seriously like hit it, pull the trigger, and that's it. You can turn this on and off manually. And I'm sure it runs for a long time on these lower modes. For dust extraction, if you're sanding, this would be fine. Or that, or that. I generally run my vacuums full blast. Again, this will probably break if you don't have Ego batteries and you're not okay with this hose like I'm not. You're gonna wanna be spending a similar amount of money to kind of half turn this into that. So in my book, that's just a better value, way more features. And if you're running like full rip cuts, that's such a time saver, that track there. And if you have a double garage door, you can even, you can store even that 10-foot track. It has to be a double garage door because a 10-foot track is so wide, but you can store these shorter tracks right on your garage door. There's these clips. I'll try to put them in the description, but you just slide your track in and then lock, and then the track can be upside down or wherever the door is. It doesn't take up any space at all, and you can store these tracks. But you need a double garage door to store that 10-footer. I don't need those clips because I've got high ceilings in my garage, so I can stick that right up on the wall in the ceiling, so, and hang it vertically. So there's little nail holes to hang these. But yeah, I'll put links in the description. Again, that's a really good way to support my channel. I wish this video existed. Honestly, this video has launched this channel because I wanted to see somebody compare these vacuums and no one did. I knew this would be powerful. I knew it'd be okay quality and pretty well done. This is a great design for a first try at this price point. Good job, Ego. It really is a great job. But Festool's been doing high-end vacuums for a long time. They've been the leaders in dust extraction, hands down the highest quality and just the best workflow. Their focus has been efficiency, and really their engineers are so impressive. Like, I watched just 1 year to the next on Festool, and their stuff gets so much better. I mean, here's the cord a few years ago. Here's the cord a few years after that. Their long life bag, I've had a different style long life bag. This one's way better. The Bluetooth, the fact that you just tap that trigger and it's synced. The remote, the battery, this remote is not coming off like the Ego does. Like, it is on there. The coin cells, I think, is not a bad thing, because it keeps this remote smaller, and this can't ruin the battery. Like, from a lack of recharge, you just swap out these batteries, and you can buy coin cell batteries like on eBay and stuff. They're like $1 a pop or something, so you can buy a bunch of them, no big deal. But you do have to actually, you know, take this apart. Let me show you how this is. So it's just a tapered wedge and a thick rubber, and looks like you would just kind of put something in there and twist. The remote syncs up automatically for both vacuums. There's no setup there. The only setup is pushing that button and pulling the trigger to sync that up with the Bluetooth. So that's really easy. And cord storage is a difference. Ego's got the advantage on the batteries. Yeah, again, you can have 2 batteries there. Handle direction, no long life bag. Cord isn't flexible, cord isn't long enough. Remote falls off, luxury, and good vacuum. So take it for what it's worth. If you want to spend the money on that, I'll have links to stuff. Try to make it really easy for you guys to support the channel by clicking on those and take you right to Amazon. This stuff is the same price no matter where you get it. You're not going to find a discount on the Ego. Festool doesn't allow discounts on their stuff. They don't allow selling below or above this price. That's the price for Festool. And hopefully I have steered you in the right direction for what one of these vacuums is right for you. They'll both be linked. I will link the beefier, appropriate length Festool hose. Keep in mind, if you're storing it, you probably would have to do something to, because I'm probably going to link the longer hose, because I think a length more like that is more appropriate for the vacuum. So you'd have to backtrack it, and it would just take up a little more room in storage. So you probably want to wrap it around this way and then tuck it under or something to try to store the bigger hose on this. And again, you're going to lose the remote. You might lose the accessories, but I think more than likely the Festool is probably going to work with these accessories, but I do not know. But I'll link the hose. Take it, it might work, it might not. This 27mm hose is better anyway. I'll link as much stuff as I can. Buy whatever you want. I can tell you it's not going to be cheap when you buy tracks and the Festool and the track saw. Like, if you're buying the vacuum, if you're on the Festool platform, you're going to love it, but just sit down. I've got a lawn care channel, so I'm going to be reviewing lawn care tools.
So my first impressions of this tool were really good. My first impressions of that tool were very not good. The runtime on this, after using this a little bit, kind of is a big problem. So I would use this for little tasks, and I felt like, I can't believe the battery on that is dead already. If you run it on low, it's better, and the dust extraction is pretty close to as good as a cordless. Corded. I tried that. It was almost zero dust after like 10 minutes of sanding. So it sucks up plenty of dust on the dust extraction part of it, at least as long as it's on high. I didn't try it on the low, but the runtime is just not going to be suitable for sanding. And we had a maid that, my wife has a YouTube channel, and the sponsor was a maid service, and so she's plugging the sponsor. They came to clean our house, and then she tells everybody what she thinks of them. But someone had broken her window in her car the day before, and stolen her cell phone. I was like, that sounds like a crappy day. So I just went to the junkyard and grabbed a window for a car and put it in. But just vacuuming up that broken glass was enough to kill the battery on this. I felt like I had hardly used it at all, and it's going beep, 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 beep. It tells you it's about to die. I was like, are you kidding me? I can't believe that's dead already. And then the next time I used it, and the next time it was just the same thing. So the batteries need to be swapped all the time in this thing, and it's just a big pain in the butt. I'd rather just plug in a corded tool. The corded tool does have more power. The corded tool, you don't think about it, the batteries at all. Yeah, you have to go plug it in. I don't like that, but as soon as this has a lot more capacity, more similar to the Ego, I'm all for it. Or if the Ego makes a tool more similar to this, that's roughly half the size, smaller cord, maybe Ego could even call it a dust extractor, I'd be all about that as well. I love the fact that I already have this big, expensive battery, but I would pick the Festool over it, but I'd have to have multiple sets of batteries, and it'd be kind of a luxury and kind of a pain in the butt because I have to store it, and I'm going to want a corded version of it anyway. So I wouldn't want to buy a second vacuum that's this size just so I don't have to plug a cord into the wall and have to charge batteries all the time. It is convenient for, more convenient for about half the things I need it for, but it's a lot less convenient on the other half. And when it really costs roughly double what the corded version costs. The corded version, the MIDI, has the Bluetooth and it has all these same features, but is better and it costs half as much. So I can't justify the cordless when I could have the corded. This isn't going to do it for me with sanding. It's not as good for sanding because the sander doesn't turn itself on. I have to go find a cord, something to plug the sander into. So it really is no better in that regard with sanding. The battery life is not appropriate for sanding, and if for use as just a normal shop vac, I did a really thorough job vacuuming our vehicles, and I used this, and on the high, I couldn't even vacuum a whole vehicle when it was just filthy. I don't know what noise that is, but hopefully it's not too noisy for you. But I couldn't even vacuum my whole car. Then I vacuumed it on low. I kind of vacuumed it again, and it did pretty well on low, I guess, but it takes longer. So it just doesn't work great for that. Ego could do it. They've got the battery that can do it, but they need to improve some stuff. That remote falling off, not okay with me. That remote is huge. I like the Festool remote way better. I would rather have that coin cell. I think Festool did that right. The Ego to not have any Bluetooth compatibility with any tools at all, that doesn't really do much except turn the dumb vacuum on. So it's better than nothing, but it's not much of an asset compared to the Festool system, where you click the trigger on that track saw, it turns on, and that is very well done system. So that's excellent, but the thing is, you can get that system in the corded version without all the issues with the battery. And this does have less power. It had noticeably less power. So vacuuming up my garage, it did the job, but the battery was dead just vacuuming a 3-car garage with a tool that really vacuums very quickly with a corded vacuum. So it has less power. The power of this is more similar to corded, probably even more powerful than the corded. And that big old hose, maybe that's an advantage. I didn't put this hose on that and try to vacuum anything with it. I really didn't vacuum anything with the Ego at all, to be fair, in this review. But I could just tell this wasn't going to work, so I wanted to be able to return it. Festool you can return. I didn't expect to do this, but they have a 30-day return policy. If you're not happy with it, send it back. I think they basically take it and pull all the parts for warranty situations, because they have you ship it to their warranty center. So I don't think they're prettying it up and sending it back to Germany. I think what they're probably doing is pulling parts off of it and using it for warranty claims. So that is my theory with it, yeah, I am not, this tool isn't one that I would pick. So I do plan to return this. I definitely did not expect to do that. Termite just died landing on my ear. That was random. But yeah, I didn't expect to be returning this, obviously, but that's great for Festool. Their stuff is priced high enough that I think they can justify a return every once in a while. But usually I kind of have a pretty good idea if I'm going to like a Festool tool or not. I could get my hands on it, but this, no, I couldn't. I had to actually use this to learn that runtime is just, yeah, sure, they probably publish some sort of a runtime, but you just don't realize kind of the everyday situations with that runtime until you use it, and it just didn't work for me. So anyway, stay tuned for the next review, and sorry about the lighting. My garage is a complete mess. I am putting lighting in there right now, and I just have so much going on. Tonight I'm going to get a bunch of seed in Portland and get that to people. I've got a lawn care YouTube channel. I'm kind of not doing it anymore, but I am probably starting a grass seed company, and I'm gonna go do that tomorrow. And I've been doing too much, but anyway, I wanted to get this review out and done because I have to get these returned. They're falling out of their return window. That's how long this has been since my first thoughts and this. So I have had a few weeks to use this. So anyway, those are my thoughts, and the swapping batteries. If you do buy this, definitely plan on having 2 or even 3 sets of batteries. If you run this on high, I don't even think you could keep it going with 3 sets of batteries, maybe not even 4 sets of batteries. So you could definitely keep this going with 3 sets of batteries on low and probably on medium, but no, it's not gonna be going all the time with just 2 sets of batteries. You're gonna have downtime for sure with this vacuum. And also, it's just not gonna be more convenient to swap, pull 2 batteries, put 2 batteries in, put 2 batteries into the charger, cord in the wall. So it's nice for little tasks, not nice with bigger tasks. If you have just money to burn, this is a luxury. It doesn't take up much space, and it's better for some things because you just don't have that cord. Just go vacuum something up real quick. It is really nice for that. I did enjoy that, but I guess that's it for this vacuum. I'm gonna go with corded. If Festool gets more power into it, or if Ego improves their design to be more similar to the Festool, I'll be all about that. I'll be in line to get that one. And stay tuned for that review. If Ego makes another vacuum, I'll probably be giving it a try, especially if it's smaller than this. And I want a long life bag on it, and that's great. Different hose ideally, but I can fix the hose. I can't fix a lot of that other stuff. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I think the links, you have to click out the more button if you're interested in any of those. And for more of me in your feed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time for another premium tool review.